Jörgen Sandig was a co-founder and CEO of the AI startup Scyfer, which was acquired by Qualomm Technologies. He's part of the advisory board at Pacmed and advises AI-focused data centers. Previously, he was working for ING Bank Customer Intelligence Department, and he has been the research director at ScaleUpNation to understand the difference between successful and unsuccessful scaling startups, which is definitely of interest here. It's a great honor of having you, and the floor is yours.
So thank you for having me. But also thank you for the other participants to share their progress and their cool companies. That makes me quite humble in the end, because if I see what all these companies have achieved already, yeah, I think they made really good progress, and actually sometimes much more progress than I actually made. So yeah, congratulations with that, and I feel really humble here. So yeah, when I was asked to present something, then I was thinking about, okay, what might be interesting to the audience, and then I thought, okay, well, it's a broad audience, and let's share some experience from my own startup, but also at my current activities, which are happening in the AI area, how to derive business value from AI, because I think it's truly difficult to create business value, and I see a lot of startups or companies that presented themselves just now creating really business value. That's why I really am respectful for their results, because I know how hard it is. So yeah, Scyfer is considered as a success story, and if you look at these publications, it is a success. But I can share you that also I should be modest here in the end. I started in 2013 Scyfer, and there's an important number in why we started actually this company, or why I started this company, and that is plus 21%. And I would explain this a little bit. So at the time I worked for a bank, and we did a test with Taco Cohen and Max Welling in order to predict which customer is going to click on which banner. And they used to create predictive models and increase them with about 4 to 5% each year, with a team of about 5 to 6 people working continuously in improving these results. And then Max and Taco came along, and I introduced them with a GPU from the media market. And they outperformed the rest with 21%. So that felt really like something that we had a really business value. And that was so successful that this company handed us over some startup money in order to implement our solution. But then actually it started to become really different, but because actually we failed terribly in implementing and creating the business value. And I see this happening actually quite a lot. And I compare it with AI pilots, and I see that at the moment also quite a lot that people run AI pilots, and also companies run AI pilots with a low chance of success. And I compare that. I'm a little bit into small airplanes, and there are a lot of analogies there. People can buy a kit and build a model airplane and be really cool with it, show that people that it will fly, and how cool it looks like, and you get results within a few weeks, and you can master yourself as a really good plane builder. But then in the end, if you're going to scale it up, then yeah, it might go really sour, because then you are completely in a different environment. You have to cope with end users. Like this, the end users are having also unpredictable behavior. This guy just jumps in, builds ship, and well, everything goes sour, and everybody's looking at each other, and actually nothing happens, and everybody stays a little bit disappointed behind. And this is what I see a lot with companies that want to adopt new technology, and especially AI. And that makes it really hard to create a success, because AI, I consider this as actually quite an exotic technology, which can do some things really well, but some things also really bad. And it takes a specialist to understand actually when it's good to implement an AI solution and actually when not to implement an AI solution. And what makes things even much more harder that AI is also used to solve current problems that can be solved actually a much better way in a non-technical way in the end. Because there's also a tendency to innovate and over-innovate and actually solve difficult problems. And difficult are in the area of change or change behavior or do other stuff that actually is required, but people are afraid to or are not willing to make these changes, and then use AI as some kind of an escape that they're doing really cool stuff, but in the end it feels really terribly. So the good thing is that AI matures. I started a Scyfer when in 2013. That's almost 8 years ago. And at that time, we developed our own deep learning packages, and we're really in the starting period of this technology. And look where we are now. And I thought let's have a look at the hype cycle of artificial intelligence by Gartner. And then what you see is that chatbots, computer vision, and autonomous vehicles are a little bit in the valley of disappointment. That it's actually people are starting to realize that the promises AI got or communicated or presented is actually not fulfilling on their promises at the moment. This makes it even harder for end users to adopt AI, also with the explainability and the bad press in the wrong uses of AI makes adoption of this technology even worse. So one way the AI matures, but also the successes are already there, but also people are going to give pushback to the technology, which makes it a bit harder to implement. So this is what I see at the moment. And another thing I see is, for example, with GPT-3, is a really interesting toolkit that become available in the natural language processing. But if you want to start with that, it's really hard to replicate all the results that are achieved in the laboratory settings. And the accuracy and to apply these technology, it takes actually quite an effort. And in my opinion, it's also really expensive. So the business case is really under pressure because of the costs you need to apply to it. AI programmers or AI specialists are not really cheap. The technology takes a lot of time to implement. And then the adoption at the end users is also a really challenge. So there's a good side and a little bit downside. And for me, it's important to also emphasize that the transition towards added value is quite important. So what I see is that solving current problems with application of new technologies like machine learning, deep learning, and reinforcement learning is really tech-driven. And I think this is not the best. It can solve a lot, but it's not. If you want to create really business value, I think you should move forward to discovery of new products, new services, and new businesses. And for example, La La Land, I love that one because that's actually a nice example of how you can create with this technology new products and new services and new businesses. And this is where this technology really excels. So another thing that is really helpful, and I always use every opportunity to push this machine learning canvas. I don't know if you're all aware of that, but I really love to work with especially the left side of the machine learning canvas in order to discuss actually before you're going to build anything, how are you going to use your AI solution which you actually want? Who is going to use it and how is going to use it? And this is an interesting, really simple question, but if nobody can answer this, don't start with AI. But that's just a tip. So if you look at from the pilot perspective, I would, consider this as small incremental steps with applying technology. And recently, I dive into the world of big tech again, and I'm also working on my own quantum startup. And this has opened a new world to me. And this is a really, I want to share a little bit how to really be disruptive and what are we going to expect from AI with the big tech players in order to inspire and how they approach adopting new technology. And this is really excites me, but also scares me a lot because yeah, big tech is taking over again after the social media. It starts to become move into completely other fields. What I would like to show is Facebook. Facebook is now opening an AI-driven challenge where they actually invite the scientific community and everybody around that in order to discover new catalysts. And this is actually in order to address the energy challenge because yeah, we are in a transition period if you look at the energy and the climate change. So H2O conversion is really key. It's really energy inefficient. So they want to push technology and especially AI technology in order to discover new materials. So this is really interesting. So big tech is moving into the new material area. So DeepMind developed a Fermi net where they combine quantum physics and chemistry and AI. So they are in the crossroad of all kinds of high-tech scientific discovery in order also to detect new molecules. And new molecules is also about creating new medicine. And you can all understand with COVID that the pressure on developing new drugs is really on. So this is also a complete new field, and DeepMind, you know, of course, it's a part of Google, are really moving into the field of new medicine and new materials. And as a last example, you know him all, Max Willing. He's now switched from Qualcomm to recently, the 1st of September, to Microsoft, where he is completely dedicated his energy to machine learning molecule simulation. Yeah, again, in order to create societal impact and to help become a better world in detecting molecules and in order to yeah, drive the energy transition and manage the climate change over there. So this is AI, how it's applied now by big tech, and they all look to create positions in getting patents and getting new technology into new materials, which actually drive the most pressing issues in the current society. I don't know what China is doing because it's a little I have no context there at the moment. So this is what I see. So ending this presentation is the deep tech difference. And if you compare it to the starting point of the slides where you look at incremental changes, I see these are really not incremental changes, but fundamental changes they try to drive. And what is then the difference between just a pilot where you apply a new technology? The deep tech, which I just showed, is really problem oriented. It's society challenges. They pick up a challenge and try to solve that. They also look at the emerging technologies to solve actually these challenges. And what I really found impressive that they move on from bits actually to solutions in a physical environment, from bits to atoms. This is really I find really super interesting. And that's also that that's the reason why I'm driven by quantum computing, because that's the same area, but also really scary that it is the domain of the big tech, which are already trying to influence our lives as much as possible as they do at the moment. And what I also see there and what I learned there is that they also are really able to catalyze upon cross-organizational ecosystem and also cross-technology. Yeah, I hope this inspires you also in trying to determine what are you going to do with new technology in general and AI specific. So this is what the message I would like to bring to you and to well, the community and society today, and some further reading also. Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much for the inspiring. No, it's not you, of course. This inspiring talk. We have at least one question, and I have several, but let's start with one by Ruben Boyd. Do you believe AI startups still have a chance in, say, 10 years' time to do anything unique / worthwhile compared to big tech and their huge R&D departments and required computing costs?
Yes, fully yes. Why not? Because yeah, it's up to you. But yes, of course, there are always niches. There are always things to discover, creativity, good teams. So to be more in detail, I was really actually when I'm a little bit a naive guy, to be honest. So when I started Scyfer, I just okay, that's fun. Let's do that. And after 4 years, big tech companies came knocking on my door, and they wanted to acquire us, and I couldn't understand why. Actually, I didn't have any clue on the value. So if you have, for example, but through that, then I heard somebody say, yeah, well, we like you because you have deep tech knowledge, but you are also able to execute. Simple as that. You have a team that can execute, because there's people that do really cool science. And actually, to be honest, Facebook hired us because Facebook AI couldn't deliver anything. They are good in research, but if you want to let them create something like an encoder or something like that, they wouldn't spend their precious time on it. So they hired us. So yes, yeah, you can, yeah. Yes, only don't ask me what to do. That's up to you. But I'm fully convinced, because there's so many research out there which is waiting to be picked up by some smart teams and just try to implement that, and then you already have great business value and value to the world. I hope
see.
that answers your question.
I think it
It's
does.
not
I
as
mean, it's
simple.
clear. It's clear. It's not simple, but it's clear. I will invite Evangelos to prepare for his presentation. In the meantime, I will ask my question. You come. Your background is on banking, which is perhaps one of the oldest sectors. The Medici were from the 1300s doing banking, and deep tech
Yeah.
is the latest innovation. The area of technology. So are there any differences in your opinion between these two, between the old world and the new world? And how does this translate in accepting innovation, in funding, and so on?
Wow, that's a lot of questions at the same time. I'm a little confused.
Well, you can select one. Is there a difference between more traditional sectors of the economy, like banking, and new sectors like AI technology? If what's the biggest difference in your opinion?
Yeah, if you look at I see it. Well, banking and AI technology are actually two different orders of magnitude, because banking is just providing financial services, and AI is just a technology, like a web shop. It's technology, so they're not mutual exclusive. So banking can be beneficiary for AI. I don't think the other way around is a little bit more complicated, but so yeah, the adoption of technology is always hard. But if you see it with the cryptocurrency, there's also an issue there. That's also technology in banking, and I feel that there are strong reasons why. And it's all about systemic change. And systemic change requires a lot of change at the same time. And I see that actually try to implement, and that's where you're also in, is applying, adopting AI in the medical area. And this is really, really hard to create a good business model, because it requires also system change, especially in AI. And this is, I think, the most pressing issue, where also government needs to step in the end, in order to solve some of these barriers, or system change, or support system change in the end.
Yeah, no, true. Okay, thank you very much for your very nice talk and answering all these questions.